Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. So in our last video I was talking about how my story, my background. I'm originally an architect by profession. So when I got married, I came to the United Kingdom. I got married, came to the United Kingdom, yeah. And the first few weeks was all right. Funny how I said the first few weeks. It was the first few weeks. And then I think after 2 or 3 weeks, I became pregnant almost immediately I came to this country. And it was tough. Also, I didn't know anybody, you know. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know who to turn to, to help. But I had a few members in my church who were very helpful, very kind. And it helped me go through a lot of things. But it was nice, having your family around you. We managed. Cope. First time I realized my marriage was going to be a very tough one. Was I had an argument with my husband. I was in an argument or something. Well, anyway, we had a little bit of an argument. It wasn't anything big because I can't even remember what it was. I think we just talked about something, just normal argument, like, oh, like, no, that's not correct, no, that's not correct. And this man did not speak to me for 2 days. I was like, if I greet him, he won't answer. If I talk to him, if I put food on the table, he won't eat. I'm like, what's happening? I don't know anybody here. I don't know anyone to talk to. So immediately I go and beg. Beg, please, I kneel down and apologize for something I didn't do wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. But because I wanted peace to reign. And, well, I was always told, you always have to be the bigger person. And I had to go and apologize. Oh, please eat your food, please. So, I shouldn't do that again. And I was okay. But in my mind, I'm thinking, what did I do really? I couldn't remember what I did. There was nothing I did. But I apologized so peace will reign. I was pregnant then. You eat the food, things will go well. And then 1 week after or 2 weeks after, same thing. Something will happen. He will just flip. He won't tell me what I've done wrong. He just won't talk to me. I'm like, what's happening? Is this how I'm going to be living my life? He won't talk to me for days. There was even one time. He didn't speak with me for 2 weeks, 14 days. He didn't speak with me. He didn't speak with me. I was heavily pregnant then. And I looked at myself. I said, this is just not going to happen. That's after series of, it gradually started from 1 day, 2 days not talking to me. Then he will settle. Then he will go to 3 days not talking to me. And then 1 week not talking to me. And then this one, 2 weeks. So that time I called my pastor. I said, this is out of hand. I've gotten to a point where, you know what? I'm happy to go back to my country. Where I'm coming from, I am revered. I'm an architect. I was working. I was doing my own thing. Had my firm then. I could go back. I don't have problem. I can't stay here. And the pastor came, talked, advised him. And when the pastor was talking, he was writing down things, making points. And he started telling the pastor, he's in this case just talking about the things that he didn't like with me, was saying it. And then one reason he gave for being upset with me was I washed his clothes, his shirt, and I spoiled one shirt. That I put another shirt together and it ruined one shirt. So the pastor was like, oh, how did she do it? And I was like, oh, he normally would take the clothes to the laundrette. But that day, I just felt I wanted to do, in Nigeria, we'll call it oversabi. I wanted to do oversabi and I went to wash his clothes and the thing just stained. I just opened my mouth and I was like, I was trying to do you a favor. So the pastor said, you mean a woman who is pregnant, offer her to wash your clothes. She washed your clothes and you're fighting her because the thing stained? Say, yeah, that cloth, he bought it from M&S and it was expensive. What's going on? And I went and bought the shirt. I said, Pastor, look at the shirt. It was one of those shirts I had, it was a striped shirt. I said, look at the shirt. Can you find the stain here? Pastor looked at it and said, truly can't find it. I should show him. And I showed him one thing. Somewhere around here. I said, that's this thing he's talking about. I said, what happened was, I couldn't, obviously, there wasn't washing machine. Well, when I came to this country, I didn't have washing machine. And I had washing machine back home in Nigeria. But I didn't have one here. I had to wash clothes. So what I did, I put the clothes shirts together. I just put some detergents, left it for about 30 minutes or so. When I came back, it had, where I was coming from, that's how I washed dirty clothes. put them in the put detergent and soak it for a few minutes. Oh, go to wash is easy. As if you don't have washing machine. And I did that method here. And it bled. One of the shirts bled into another. Just a tiny stain. And the man flipped. So me, I was like, you're upset over that. I'm not gonna apologize. Just stay there, don't eat. So I wasn't even cooking. I was pregnant. I couldn't even cook for myself because I couldn't stand the smell. So when he said he wasn't eating, good and fine. I said, because then I was now becoming bold. I was like, I'm not taking this rubbish from you. For God's sake, where I was coming from, I had people that would say yes, ma, to me. Why am I coming here and, giving you all the respect that you need? But you want to trade back in my face? I didn't quarrel with him or anything, but just say, I'm not going to fight with you. And Pastor said, you don't do that. Advised him, advised me as well, told me where I was wrong, and I accepted, and and we settled. But in my mind, I was like, this man, let me just give birth and just find a way of just going back to my country. Because at that point, I had it here. It was so bad. I couldn't tell my family. I could speak to his siblings. He's the only male child. I would tell them, this is what your brother is doing to me, this is what's happening, and it's so bad. And they will advise me. Several times they'll tell me, please just be patient. We know our brother is not good. And if I was married to my brother, I won't stand it. I won't stand the things he's doing. Those are the words that the sisters were saying to me. So it was like a kind of encouraging, that some other people who are not my family members, obviously they would say things to help my cause. But this way is family that I was speaking to. I'd never told my family members till the day I left, like a month before I left, that I told my dad. My dad was so sad, but I never told my family. Right? So me saying this is also an example of how people in domestic violence, how they live. They are scared to talk. They are scared to tell anybody. They are worried, if I tell somebody, what would that person say? And rightly so, because you don't know what's in anybody's mind. You don't know what they're going to use with your story. You don't know what they're going to tell. You don't know if they're going to support you, or they're going to come back and have a go at you, and everything's going to turn back against you. So people are worried, and I get it when people say, I don't tell anybody. This is what has been happening for the past 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Some people have been in domestic violence situations for 10 years. And they're not able to say. Sometimes they're just caged in there. They can't do anything. Who are you going to tell that will believe you? They won't believe. They'll feel you're cooking up stories. And me, I'm a loud type. I won't say loud in a very bad way, but I make friends easily. So I will sit there, I'll laugh, we'll just talk with my friends. Eve. Now I don't do a lot of that. I don't have so much friends. But then if I can easily make friends, can talk, with chat. I was the outgoing type, very vibrant type. But my ex wasn't that type. He was the very reserved one. Almost like a recluse. So if I tell anybody, they will think I am lying. They'll say, this one that doesn't say anything, you're saying this, that you did this, is not true. So it's always difficult. I know I told a few people, my pastor, for the pastor that I talked about in the previous story, we finally left that church, went to another church, and the pastor there, nice church, nice family, very like African oriented. The pastor there, when I told him this is what I was going through, he didn't believe me. He didn't believe me. He said we should come for prayers and all that. We did go for prayers, counseling. And you could see in the counseling sessions that it was geared towards advising me to be obedient to my husband, which is fine. I don't doubt that. I don't frown about that, over that. But the issue I had, I came to tell you, please help me. I'm suffering my marriage. My husband is really dealing with me. And when we talk, you chastise me and encourage him, chastise me and encourage him. And I'm like, what's happening here? Kept going on. We did the counseling sessions for a few times, I think about 4 or 5 times. And he was always busy, so we never went. I will never forget one thing that happened. One day, I don't think he remembered, and I don't think the pastor knows that he said it. I think it was just out of habit. He just said that. But it rang in my brain, and I vowed never, ever to tell anybody about what I was going through. I was just standing by the door one day, and the pastor was passing. I greeted him, good afternoon, sir. You know, in the church closed, and he was passing, good afternoon, sir. And he looked at me, Sister Tessie, how are you? I said, fine, thank you, sir. I hear now that you're not a very good woman. You don't cause trouble anymore. Not lying. Not lying. That's exactly what he said to me. You're a good woman now. You don't cause trouble anymore. And I couldn't answer. I just smiled. But I went back and I said to myself, okay. He gave me advice, and I've been doing my part. My ex hasn't been doing his own part. You know, he's not been playing his own part. But now you're telling me that you're saying that I'm a good woman now. I told myself, okay, that's fine. I'm not telling anybody again. It means this struggle that I'm in is just me. Nobody cares. So, that's how I continued. But the bottom line of all this is, women are worried to say things out because they don't know the feedback from those people. Men are scared to tell somebody, my wife beats me. I know people will laugh at saying this, but there are men whose wives beat them. And the norm is supposed to be the other way around, you know. But there are men who their feminine side is more pronounced than their masculine side. And the wife beats them. They can't talk. They can't tell anybody because they will laugh at them. Who are you going to go and tell that your wife beats you? Or when you work, your wife tells you, bring the money, or your card is with your wife. Not because you want to make life easy for your wife to be able to do home transactions, do home buying, do anything that you need to do in the house without stressing. That's not the reason why you gave your wife your debit card. You gave your wife a debit card because your wife will stress your life. She will talk you into dying, to the extent that, you know what, you just, when you come back, you get your money at the end of the month. You just put in the bank and give the card to her. If you want anything, she's the one that will give you. There are men who experience that, so don't think it doesn't happen. So this domestic violence, it cuts across gender. It cuts to the male and it cuts to the female. We always see the female side and we assume that only women get domestically get violent towards. No, there are women who get violent towards their husband. Like I said, my first video, domestic violence is not only just the man beating the wife or the woman beating the husband. It's not just beating, it's like psychologically. A woman who sits and calls and tells her husband, useless man, idiot, look at you, is this how your mates are? That's domestic violence. That is it. That's domestic violence. Because if a man says that to a woman, we're going to call it verbal abuse, isn't it? We're going to call it verbal abuse. But when a woman says it to a man, we don't think of it as anything. But that's it. So if you're a woman and you're telling your husband, you think you've heard of domestic violence, you've checked this video, you said domestic violence, and you're running, to come and say this woman is going to support me. No. If you sit down and wash your husband from head to toe, and there's nothing, and if you put that man on the pedestal and give, if person takes that, if somebody buys something and you give them the man for free, they won't take, because you washed the man from up to down. Then you are being verbally abusive to your husband, and that's a form of domestic violence. You have to see that. A lot of people don't see it that way. I'm saying it now, that you have to see it that way. So we have to be reasonable with our argument every time. Very reasonable with our argument. And also know that this issue of domestic violence cuts across gender. It's not just limited to the man being violent to the woman. It cuts both ways. So the bottom line is, people, women, men are scared to tell somebody out there that they're experiencing this. Because how are they going to tell you? How you don't know how those people are going to react. If a woman goes and says, oh, I gave my husband, I finished working and I gave my husband my money, they'll be like, okay, yeah, you're a wife, why are you complaining? She won't say it next time. But she's not happy. The man doesn't give her anything. If it's the case of the man, and he says that to his friends, and he feels like, you for real? How can that even happen? No. So it's a worrying situation where people cannot go out. Somebody comes, you as a person watching this video, somebody comes to you and tells you what they're experiencing in the marriage. Do you first of all castigate them? Or you say, okay, oh, I'm sorry you're going through this. What do we do? What part have you played? Or do you just go straight and attack them? If their complaint is genuine, you can be sure they won't come back to you tomorrow. They will stay there, be quiet, and rather die in silence. My purpose of sharing my story, using that as pointers for everything, is to help people who are in similar situations that I was, and help them to live life to the fullest. Doesn't matter whether you're a Christian, a Muslim, you're a pagan. Everybody has a right to a good life. So if you have a question, please comment, and I'll try my best to answer, maybe in subsequent videos. Like my video and also subscribe to the channel. Thank you.